estate gets real.
I'm Rachel Davis.
And I'm Kate Baldwin.
I can never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Coach told me I can never miss.
Real estate gets real.
I'm Rachel Davis.
And I'm Kate Baldwin.
Before we dive in, if you like what you're seeing, don't just sit there, please. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and toss us a like. It literally costs you nothing, but it helps Kate and I bring more baddies, more deals, and more laughs.
You like to laugh on the show, so we try not to be serious. But every week we sit down with these awesome investors who got their first deal and their first big win in their first 6 months within our community. So there's no fluff, no hype. Just real stories, real people making real moves, and creative financing.
And today's guest is someone who we are both really excited about. Dustin's been making waves in the real estate investing world, particularly as we all discussed last week, in a place I find near and dear in co-living and with creative finance.
And he's a Florida boy. Well, he lives in Florida, so maybe not a Florida boy, but
oh my gosh. Well,
he raised his kids in Florida.
Clearly, he's claimed by Kate in Florida. So please, please, everyone, welcome Dustin Geroski with us.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You actually have to be awake. I know you have a 6-week-old and a 3-year-old, which is like it's the recipe for disaster in the sleeping department. But we get you for 45 minutes, so we're so excited. Thank you, Dustin.
No, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I think what's really cool about Dustin is that he just didn't stumble into real estate. He is a master at applying systems, finance know-how. And I think what's really neat for me is, with my military background, seeing others outside of my world with that servant leadership mindset. So today we're just going to spend some time to unpack how Dustin got his first deal, what lessons he learned, and what he's building now. Kate, you want to ask the first question?
Yeah. So, basically, let's just get this started by saying, what pulled you into the real estate in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, in short, I had already studied a ton of finance for several years, like all the avenues that people hear of: stock market, bond market, crypto, like all these different things. And then I started seeing, different opportunities that I could go. Like financial advisor was definitely something I gave a lot of thought on. But what it really came down to is I saw that real estate was actually the best source for not just myself, but others. Like it wasn't the stock market. Um, and so once that kind of clicked, this is a little bit after COVID, a couple, like 2 years after COVID. Um, yeah, I saw that a lot of the same rules in business still applied to real estate, like risk reward, like all of it.
Yeah.
And if anything, yeah, real estate was much more attractive than alternative investments.
Right. And did it feel more safe? Because I know, like, a lot of times that being a realtor and in the luxury market, a lot of people like to put their money into real estate because it tends to be a little bit more safer than the stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I saw too is with real estate, it's tangible. It's hard. You can touch it. Where
Right.
majority of what people do with their money, it's like these
Where is
smoke and
it?
mirrors of like, what did I actually invest in?
Exactly.
And to
And so
piggyback what you're saying, Dustin, it's, when you give your money to a financial advisor, like they can lose it, they can gain more, like you pay the same amount, but with an
And
asset.
a lot of them aren't a fiduciary. So it's
this is going to be good. So I noticed, so you got into your first deal. What was your first deal? Like what was that deal?
Yeah, so before I even bought the house, my first homestead, I bought a rental property and wholesale all in the same month. And it was, so I live just outside of Orlando to the east, like below Daytona. And a business partner and I, we were actively hunting for a rental property outside of Disney. We felt safe, Orlando, Disney. We're like, all right, let's just pick something solid and tackle it. So technically, these closed within like 3 days of each other's. Technically, the first deal was buying the rental property.
Nice.
But along the way, while we were hunting for it, I found several deals, and one guy, um, it wasn't our buy box. It was near Disney, but it's too big. And he's like, I gotta sell this thing. Can you help me? And I'm like, hey, I've been in this SubTo group like 5 months. They do some pretty cool stuff. So it's a straight up handshake wholesale deal. We had like one mutual friend on Facebook. I had nothing to lose. And so within 72 hours, I closed on the rental property that we kept. And then this handshake wholesale deal, I posted it in the Facebook group, the private SubTo group,
Yeah.
and he held true. He ended up paying me. It's like 6 or 7 grand.
I take
Nice.
it you would not recommend a
No,
handshake deal on the regular anymore, though.
no. But to me, I had no idea how to do the
Experience, right?
contracts and stuff. And
Exactly.
I was like, even if he doesn't pay me, but I see the deal go through, like that's all I need to know that I
So
can do
you
it.
didn't do technically a wholesale deal. You just put him in connection with a seller or a buyer.
hmm
Basically,
So
you got to find them a buyer, and they did all it like one connected. You didn't do anything for them. They just
yeah,
gave you like a referral fee.
yeah. So like, I mean, fast forward a little bit, I did wholesale full time for a while.
Sure.
We did the contracts, assigned it, and all that.
Yes, of course. That's
But yeah,
interesting.
this was a virtual handshake.
Hey, you could have done
That
that
was
one.
wild.
Yep.
Well, there are very good people out there. No, we don't recommend that, but there are very
Yeah,
good people out there. That's really cool. And so, how do you still have that rental?
yeah. It's about 10 minutes from Disney. It's a
Nice.
3 bed, 2 bath condo.
Well, that's good to know.
Love it.
We,
Um,
yeah, I really enjoy that. So, as far as that goes, then what made you like start I mean, I know you did wholesaling for a while. You said, yeah. I mean, it's only been what 3 years since you've really been in this community. Is that right?
Yeah, about
Wow,
three
you've
years.
come far in 3 years. That's pretty impressive.
It's been a
Um,
ride.
Yeah. So let's go on that ride. So we get this wholesale, we do this, and then you do a few more wholesales, and then what? Like where did co-living come in to play? Like how did that
Yeah. So that was
start?
that was simultaneous actually as well. Um, let's see. So that first wholesale deal really unlocked mentally for me, like, whoa, I didn't have to go anywhere. All I did is have to talk with people on the phone and treat them with respect, help them, and I got paid 7 grand. I'm like, all right, how do I do this once or twice a month? And
Yeah.
so I really like dialed my focus on it because we actually just had our first child. So I had a 7 month old that was our sole source of income. So I had my back against the wall. I'm like, it's not if I'm going to wholesale, it's how.
Like how
So
many?
I was doing it all. I was door knocking, I was calling long days on market. Um, Fortunately, I caught the wave of when LOI Blaster was first born. So I got to ride that wave when it was a little ripple. And yeah. So anyway, I start wholesaling a lot, and I did find a solid deal, slam dunk deal. I showed it to my broker. I'm a Florida agent. And he's like, no, we're keeping this. We're like, we're gonna turn into a PadSplit. And I didn't even know what that was.
So your
And
broker did this?
yeah.
You have a creative financing broker?
He neither of us actively used the license. He did it for his business, like
Got it.
credibility. And that's also why I got the license is I figured if I'm gonna wholesale, I might as well just crank out the license in like 4 weeks, and that's what I did, Gold Coast. And
Yeah,
it made it easier
I
talking
did
to the
Gold Coast.
agents.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, because you obviously stumble around a lot of agents that aren't familiar with creative financing, and it can be kind of a headache. But
Yeah.
hey, I mean, there's no need for them. It's not part of their job. It's
It
part of
helped
our
me
job.
a lot
I'm a
having the
realtor, and
license.
it helps great. It helps in so many things. So,
Yeah, because when I was starting LOI Blaster, the emails, they saw I was an agent, and they're like, all right, I've gotten 20 of these. You're an agent. Just tell me what's going on. Because
isn't it?
it
Oh, go
worked.
ahead. I'm sorry.
it works, huh? To say that.
Oh, it totally gave me an edge. There's no
Okay.
question it gave me an
Go ahead,
edge.
Rachel.
But don't
Mine's
tell
like
Pace I said that.
no. Honestly, Pace needs to hear that. There is some advantage to that. In Florida, we have. There's nothing wrong with education. Regardless, I mean, it's good education if you really apply it. There's a lot of really awesome agents that take their job very serious. There also is a lot of people that don't. And I think that that's also in our community too. So it's everywhere. It's still very good to be educated. But go ahead, Rachel. I know your mind's spinning in crazy
Oh
circles.
Itching.
no, I'm a studier of influence, right? Like I was a psychological operations officer in the Army. And so one of the things, Dustin, you're hitting on that I think a lot of new people tend to forget about is leverage the things that you can.
Yes.
So if you're an agent, put that on there. It's no different. Like I lead with being an Army veteran. And I
Yes.
can't tell you how many people have reached it back out to me because they're like, well, there's a halo effect. So I love that you're highlighting that for newer people to hear and understand. Thank you for doing that.
That is such a big point. Like that was a really cool point there, Dustin. I like how that really actually inspired me just now. So thank
Yeah,
you.
because all the LOIs, I'd say over 90% aren't agents. And so when the instant rapport,
Yes.
I mean, it opened the gate tremendously for me.
Well, it's just because like a lot of the times when you're wholesaling, a lot of people don't even know what they're wholesaling for the most part. I've dealt
Yeah.
with people who have called me that want to sell me a deal and I'm like, "Well, did you pull the permits? You know, what's going on with it?" "Well, no, we'll deal with that at." "What? We won't deal with that at inspection? You tell me now." You know, I
Yeah.
get all my ducks in my row before, and I'm very much like that's who I am as a person. I'm a very like I like my ducks in a row before I sell something, but
That actually reminds me, just Kate, what you're talking about with pulling permits. So every deal is going to have its challenges. Dustin, what's an instance that something almost killed a deal?
yes.
And how'd you push through it? Because I think
Yes.
a lot of people like to show the highlight reel, right?
Uh-huh.
Like these, but I
Mhm.
think the learning is in how people respond to when it gets hard. So I'd like to hear how
Yes.
you've processed through that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that because the reality is you're always going to have problems. It's just a matter of what kind of problems you're going to have. And so when we were snowballing more into co-living, actually the first property, it, we bought it, we converted it. It was already converted. So it was already a 5-3. No, sorry, a 5-4, and we turned it into an 8-4 in Orlando,
Heck yeah.
southeast Orlando. Now we did a lot of homework. We checked permits and stuff, but something weird happened on one of the bathrooms, whereas like it wasn't the full permit. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. So what I'm getting at is we've already converted this into an 8-4. It's crushing it as a PadSplit, and this is my first one. I'm like, yes. But the neighbors.
Yeah.
So
See, that's my problem with. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. This is good.
so we didn't know this yet, but one of the rules of thumb, if something's going to go wrong with a PadSplit, 99% of the time it is the neighbors. And so one of the tenants members was parking too close to the neighbor, and he called the city and reported us as an illegal Airbnb, which of course we weren't. So long story short, they they come in, they try to shut us down. We show them the PadSplit lease, so a big reason why we always use PadSplit, and it held firm. Like the city backed down. However, they saw they're like, wait, what's going on with this bathroom? And they're like, this isn't the actual the permit was pulled, because we thought the seller, it looked like they did everything right, but there was a little hiccup.
Mm.
And so basically we had to gut the bathroom and redo it. The contractor
You couldn't do like
exploited us a bit.
an aftermath permit. They wouldn't let you do that. The after effect
Mm,
permit.
no, they
Yeah.
wanted to cause us some pain, basically, and they did.
Well, and I hate to focus on this, but this is a question that I have because when you talk about the neighbor, and I think that this is a learning, it's kind of off the tangent, but when you're talking about neighbors and you're explaining we're looking in these home neighborhoods with these beautiful homes that are large because that's what you need. Have you had what is the experience with the neighbors other than this one? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if a pad split went up next door to me and there were like 8 cars in the lot, like does it cause a lot of friction? Are there rules in pad slips? Do you have like the rules on the wall that say you can't do A, B, and C like you would in college? Like, how do you manage?
That's a great question, Dustin. How do you mitigate that now that you've learned that neighbors can be an issue? How have you mitigated that in the future?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. We only you only buy in like Class C neighborhoods where it is a very, it's like 50% of the neighborhood is rented. For
Got
sure,
it.
no
Okay.
HOAs. So that helps a ton.
Yes.
And then parking, depending how much the actual house can hold, maybe it's a 4-car driveway and 2 in the front. We'll just say first come, first serve, only 6 cars are allowed here. We know there's 8 rooms. So then to build off that, we only buy really close to bus stops, like less than half a mile. Ideally, it's like a
That's
quarter
cool.
mile tops. So those that helps a
Have
ton.
like
Those
and the neighborhood is C class. That's good. Because
The
I was
other
like,
thing, Dustin, do you mind explaining some of the PadSplit rules with regard to having friends over, right?
yes,
Like,
yeah. So I mean that there's always changes happening. Um, we Before I do that, I want to mention how we structure it. So we always hire a property manager.
okay,
So we always use PadSplit. That's the first customer facing, tenant
okay,
facing. They help a lot. They do background check, credit check. They show the rules, such as no guest staying overnight. It is all posted inside of the property. But then we also hire a property manager, who's the next point of contact for any of the tenants. And then, technically, we do have an asset manager who is the point of contact for all property managers for us. So there's multiple layers, and rules are definitely made clear before anyone moves in officially. But we do it costs more to structure it like that, but we do it so that we can focus on our like highest ROI activities and
yes.
not like dealing with Jimmy left his cereal bowl in the sink
See,
again,
I was thinking,
again.
okay, so in college we had the 4-bedroom, 4-bath, and every room had a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, and then we had the
Hmm.
common area at UCF. And I mean, I had this one roommate one time, man, who she would cook these meals and they would stink like really bad. And she would leave things in. Then, so I'm thinking all week I'm reading about you, learning about you, figuring out who you are. And I'm like, I can't imagine having that roommate. I don't remember her name, but smelling up that kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, do
Hmm.
you get into those sticky situations? Have you heard anything like that? Or is it just pretty norm? Like everyone just goes to work, uses the
So
space to kind of,
I'm sure that they happen, but we've set it up. We've given a lot of power to the property managers, where
I love
honestly, a
that.
lot of that doesn't even make it
Good.
to me.
That's good to know, and that's a great system to sell because and that asset manager is probably key too,
Hmm.
having
what I
that
Yeah,
think
it's
layer.
what I think
very
is
helpful.
really interesting, Dustin, sorry. What I think is really interesting, Dustin, is like you have effectively layered um ways to it's the very much like the military, layered ways like a chain of command so that you and your partners can stay out of the nitnoid and
Hmm.
focus on scaling. And I can't help but notice like you come from a really strong business and finance background.
My dad was
How does
military too.
pardon?
My dad was military.
He's a
Well,
military.
there you go. There you go. So, but how do you think that that business and finance background, and I guess
Yeah.
what you learned from your father as a service member, how does that shape the way that you look at real estate deals compared to somebody who may not have that lens?
Yeah, so in undergrad, I studied project management, which helps tremendously.
Cute.
So I studied things like I got certain certifications within the project management umbrella, um, which are like CAPM, there's like PMP, stuff like
Yep.
that. And then I also studied Six Sigma. Anyone that's never heard of Six Sigma, it's basically why Toyota exploded in the 90s. It's like a philosophy of business and practices, frameworks. And so I got to apply a lot of that towards real estate, where it's like as strict as we are with our buy box, we understand that's like there is growth where you'll grow more with structure than just kind of winging it. And so it helps tremendously, like building like our team, for example, anything important, it has to be communicated through Slack. Each property gets its own address in Slack. It is very clear what our org chart looks like and who reports to who, whose duties are what, KPIs. Like we spell it out very black and white where it's not gray and ambiguous.
Almost like you read traction and implemented it. Weird.
Yeah, I mean a good chunk. It's cool. Attraction, I did read it, and it's like It's like the cousin of Six Sigma and project management, where I'd seen a lot of it, and then you could tell they customized it. They put their own flavor on it.
Yep.
What is this?
It's a book called Traction. Oh, I'll let you talk about it, Dustin. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Traction?
you've probably heard Pace talk about Rocket Fuel. It's by
Okay,
this.
yeah.
It's within the same like book series, but it's systems, really dialing in like how the business actually runs. Like,
That is so important to bring up too, because systems are actually what, it takes more time at the beginning to create the systems, but once you start the systems, like you said, it's very black and white from there on. I mean, and then the gray kind of seeps in at the points, but it is so important when you're starting as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20. I started my first company. I was a wedding planner for 15 years. So I was very much a system person. I did 4-day events for very large events. I did about 700 weddings in my business, in my career.
mm,
And they were 4-day events and they were all destination. And I didn't even have a Kmart. Well, I did have Kmart. We don't have Target, Walmart. So there was like systems had to be in play, just like project management. A wedding planner is just like a fancy way of saying I was a project manager. I mean, I basically did everything. What I planned in 150 hours, did it in 4 hours every weekend. So there was a lot of management. That's so important that we need to focus on in this community is building your foundation for your business is just as important as making that first deal. Understanding the deal, understanding how to execute that deal. And I am a huge advocate again, like with JVing with people. I've JV'd with everyone. I've JV'd with 2 people on my first wholesale deals, and I just closed the foreclosure in Alamorada, and I've JV'd with someone from the community every time. And I think I heard you say JVing was some kind of part of your wheelhouse too, like learning how to do something in the community. There's no reason to not JV. If you can get away with it, don't. But you also build these relationships that are endless when you do that, when you JV.
I guess that brings a really awesome question too. Like, so Dustin, for you, how important has the community been? Like, whether it's owners clubs, SubTo, networking, because I've seen you've been working with some pretty heavy hitters in co-living. Like, what role has the community been in your success here?
yeah. Well, so to take it a step even farther back a little bit, I treated Pace as an experiment where I found him on YouTube and I'm like, all right, is this guy legit? And so I showed him to like a mentor that I still JV with. And I was like, hey, what is this SubTo thing? Like, well, is it clickbait? And like, is he just trying to take my money? He's like, no, it's real. I haven't done it. Like, so this partner I asked this, he had a big portfolio. And he's like, it's real. I haven't done it, but my dad's done it, the SubTo deal. And so I was like, all right. And so basically, even now, like I started doing what Pace said, and then it's held firm each time. So then I took bigger and bigger risks according to what he was saying. And yeah, it's basically everything with the community. So like the reason I mentioned that though is he talks about the community all the time. And so I think I've only done one wholesale deal, one deal entirely, one wholesale deal, and then my no, yeah, I've only done one deal on my own. Everything
See,
else,
I thought I heard you
every
say
single
that.
wholesale deal I've JV'd. All the buying I do, I'm doing with partners. That's a big reason like why I can take the time to do podcasts and stuff. Like I see my Slack button in top left, I got a little red dot, but I know it's the team operating in the background. So it's like JVing is the secret.
Oh
I
my
love that.
gosh. You're awesome. Oh my God. I'm totally getting off on like a tangent over here because I'm like so excited about this situation. So
I
yeah,
do have to laugh real
go
quick.
ahead because
Dustin,
I'm
you're
totally off script right now. I am in my happy field right now. So go ahead.
Wherever we want to
that's
go with it, I'm game.
I feel like my job is always to get us back on track.
No, but this is like literally like I swear I think I watched 12 hours of Dustin yesterday. So I mean I do that for all our guests because I really like want
Yeah,
to
yeah, it's
understand that
smart.
who I'm talking to. But wow. So can we talk a little bit about deal sauce and how that's, I mean, are you still applying that to your deal? I just because I know that's how Rachel and I met through Justin T. So like I feel like I always want to give him like a little like push and love. And I'm on all Deal Sauces. And I know this is a little off script, but Deal Sauce is our community-based program. I've been using it since I think February. And I
Yeah.
really, really like it. What are you still using it?
And it's funny, I was thinking about this actually this morning at the gym. I've done some deal sauce content since.
I
There's
saw
one
the
video I haven't released that I need to. I need to make it first. Um, so at the moment, I am laser focused only on co-living and consulting co-living. So I no longer am
hate it.
wholesaling or using deal sauce, but I think you're gonna like this a lot, Kate. Rachel, if you use,
I do.
LOI Blast or deal sauce as well. So this is the list that I've never talked about publicly that made me six figures.
All right.
So what I used to do before deal sauce, I paid a VA to scrape my list from Zillow. I didn't want it on PopStream. I wanted barriers. I wanted it to not be a list that anyone could easily get. And so Deal Sauce though made me or allowed me to pull this list without the VA. And so what I used to do, it was I would do for Florida, for example, I crafted my LOI, made it laser focused, and the keyword that I used was assumable listing because it's like a lemon in a lime. It's so close to a SubTo deal that it's like it was the low hanging fruit. So I completely crafted my LOI to target only assumable listings. And I'd send out my 100 or whatever for the day. Six Sigma, I only responded to people that responded to me. Like I wasn't talking to anyone cold. Is a very they call it like Kanban, Six Sigma. And so I only spent my time on the little part of the bell curve that was warm. And so when I would talk with them, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm an agent too, but I primarily buy. That's why I'm reaching out to you. I saw that you have an assumable listing. Um, we're buying co-living all around the state, and I'm really interested in this property. And so anyway, with the assumable, they know how valuable that interest rate is. Like I'm not trying to convince them that they already know it. So a lot of my work, 80% of the work's done. And then I would just talk to them, just agent to agent, but I'm a buyer, and say, listen, we both know that the banks are not motivated for this assumption to cross the finish line. They're not making new fees. They're not really making any money. Like they might make a little bit, if anything. I was like, in my experience, it takes 6 months for the assumption to be cleared, even if it works. And so I'm like, listen, here's my liquidity. Here's my portfolio. Look at my LLCs. Look at my license. You see the license is clean. It's active. Like, this is how I buy. If you want to close in 30 days, like I can still get you paid. And so, yeah, that's how I made 15 on average 15K a month. And you see on my YouTube, I have
Yeah, I saw that.
a
I
couple
saw that.
videos talking about that. So that's
You know
how I
what?
did
I
it.
have to give you mad props about how you introduce yourself. I study the language on how to communicate with the people, and wow, you have. I have like geeked out yesterday.
I don't know what the science is behind it, but that's just what I
It works.
did.
You
Oh
need to
my god,
read Persuasion, Dustin. I think I sent you that the other day.
it
I
was
got I got the other
unreal.
one, Influence. I read
Yep. Read Persuasion afterward.
by
Yeah, well, I think we
Robert.
need to make that on part of this book club because Dustin, you spelled it out so perfectly how you speak to, because you're just, wholesaling is tough. There's a lot of like how you're communicating with them and making most people don't understand what wholesaling is. I mean,
There's one last thing if I could mention.
yeah, go
Please.
ahead.
This helped to take it to the edge. The way I worded it, especially wholesale, it's so delicate. It's like you want to be honest and you don't want to confuse them. So how do you do that when people have no idea what a sub two deal is, let
Right,
alone
right,
wholesaling a sub two deal? So once because I couldn't keep everything, I was a legit buyer. I was buying co-living.
right.
And so the way I worded it was people pay me to hunt properties down. Best case scenario when I find them and I negotiate it, I'm going to find a private money partner to bring the capital, and they're going to give me some of the equity. Now, occasionally, more advanced buyers, they understand the value of that equity and they don't want to give it to me, and they'll give me a fee, a finder's fee for finding the property for them. And so I'd let them know, like, my full intention is to buy this, but just know that the more advanced buyers, they may buy me out.
Right.
And so that's how I communicate it to them, and it was honest, and it also made them feel good because if someone did buy me out, like it was someone I vetted and make sure like they were a decent buyer, and it worked tremendously.
Well,
I
yeah,
had to
because
do it in stages though.
I know I am like not kidding you. I broke them down. I broke it down all of the way you communicate into 11 different ways.
Mhm.
One, and I liked how you were like, I sometimes work with buyers that are, have a lot more knowledge than I do. And my partners are happy because they get the returns. And it was just, you're a genius. And I was like, I can't
It,
believe
it
he's on
took a while to
our
figure
podcast.
that out because it's like a blend of morals and ethics, and you're like,
But
it
it's
was it
not it's not
took a
bullshitting.
while.
It's all real, and the way that you
Hmm.
said it was like, it's so easy to say it that way because it's exactly what we're doing. We're helping the middleman.
Hmm.
And we don't have to make it this big ordeal about double closings and all this stuff. No, here's the reality. I totally understand our structure deals where wholesaling, we do, we find this deal and then sometimes my partner wants to do it on his own. Sometimes we do it together. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I don't know. Sorry, I just geeked out.
It helped.
I
That's
think
really cool.
what I really like about your approach, Dustin, and I've seen this with other wholesalers, and you don't say it explicitly, but you demonstrate it to the community, which is when you are ethically wholesaling a property, it's going to go slowly.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people are like, I just want to, I want to do that money grab. And I think you and other wholesalers that are doing that are setting a tremendously positive example
Yes.
for new people in the community. So again, thank you for that.
No, it is so huge what you guys are doing for our community because it brings back that like the morals of the transaction. And as a realtor, I have high standards for myself. I have high standards and I keep those for my seller and my buyer. I'm very open book. Like I don't like to keep anything from them. And I feel like wholesaling can get kind of fishy at times. So,
Hmm.
there's like this thin line of what do you tell your seller versus your buyer and the selling and the trust me, I just went through this journey and I learned a lot and it's all about communication and it can go wrong. And I mean, I'm not ready to share my story yet about it, but it definitely was a struggle this week on a closing I did because of something that happened between the communication with the seller and the buyer.
Hmm.
And 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 I'm an experienced agent. So, and I worked with some experience, I JV with some experienced people, but it's always possible. So I think that you creating these standards for our community and keep sharing those to us is going to have a huge impact on everything, on the way that we do deals. So thank you.
Yeah, I found over time it is slower, like you said, Rachel. But I found I actually made more money the more transparent I was because I was such an outlier. I would get referrals. Like even now, I get agents. I don't wholesale anymore because I'm just so dialed on
Sure.
buying and consulting. But people that I've done deals with, they come back to me trying to bring deals, and I'm just like, I only have so much bandwidth between a newborn and our current business. But it's a mirage. It looks like if you bend a lot of the truth, you'll make more money real fast. But in the big picture, the more transparent I was with them, the more like I
They came
made.
back and they referred people to you because they like that
Mhm.
honesty.
The
They like that
residual.
transparency. They like the systems that you put into play. Like you're doing everything. Wow. You just totally blew me out of the water just now. Anyways, so
So
go ahead, Rachel.
no, I think what's really interesting about this, Dustin, is because we're starting to get to the tail end of the interview. I'm hearing you like talking about a handshake agreement on the front end. I know you're working with like one of our mentors, Jamil, with ground up construction with co-living, and like that's all gone on in 3 years. To me, I'm like, what's the even bigger version of what you're chasing now? Because there's clearly got to be another like, what's next?
Yeah, I'd say. at the moment, it's like we do raise capital to buy these deals. So like that clip with Jamil is when we were pitching to him and Pace. Um, so we essentially 80 to 90% of what I do now is with other teammates is raise capital, we buy land, and then we're building new construction co-living. We are going to buy a little bit on Oahu existing and then convert to co-living. But at the moment, yeah, it's dialing in our team where essentially EOS through traction, where it's like we're just building this portfolio and providing a ton of
Do you
high
guys
quality
raise
housing.
capital? Are you raising capital right now for anything specific that you could tell us about?
We haven't, we just filled like last week.
Cool,
Um, this year alone, we've raised 2 million in private money
cool.
to buy existing pad splits, to convert, to do new construction. But yeah, we're right really close, give or take a couple percent to 2 million. So that's the plan, is to just continue dialing in those processes and the team members to do that with. So that's like the next foreseeable future. That's the official Everest, like in Owners Club, is it's helping 10,000 people, new investors, buy their first co-living deal.
No way. And I hear
So
you're in Houston right now, right? Is that kind of where your buy box is? What tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's 90% of our focus is it's just buying in Houston. The big reason for that, none of us live there, but the zoning, all the red tape's pulled back. It's very friendly. Like you're not, again, the whole transparency thing. We're not trying to, lie or pull any tricks with the county. They know exactly what we're building.
That's nice.
Like we do have other co-living where it's like if the county wanted to crack down on us, they could. Um, but like we really like to just focus on Houston because of that. Like we're raising money and it's like we should put it in the safest form of co-living that we know.
Yeah. And it's
so
not a bad flight. I mean, it's like quick
Yeah.
So
to do.
if someone listening is like listening to what you're talking about right now, Dustin, and they want to work with you, what's the best way? And just as important, how is the best way for them to come to you so that it's a win-win?
Yeah. So for the sake of evergreen, whether someone watches it now or a year from now, buy deals with Dustin.com. It's going to take them to my link tree. And again, for the sake of evergreen, on the link tree, it's going to show all the stuff that I'm up to, that our team's up to, like when our next capital raise will be, anyone that wants to buy new construction with us, it'll be in that. So again, buy deals with Dustin.com, but also there's a bunch of free stuff on there, like free ebook for co-living, free calculator to help underwrite it,
All right, we'll put that in the notes.
YouTube channel, all that fun stuff.
Yep, that'll absolutely be in the notes. I know
Yeah,
you'd
I
sent
mean,
that earlier.
oh,
So.
I think you're very nice. You're very gracious with your knowledge. And
Mm.
I always think that, people, I was like that in this industry before I got into this, and now this is what me and Rachel are doing. There's a lot of fear of saying what you're doing. Lips. I'd be like putting out exactly what I'm doing, but no one's gonna do it exactly the way you
Mhm.
do it, right? So because I think like you said earlier, going slow, going through the process, making sure everything's checked right. And then also in this, giving and sharing your knowledge isn't going to make someone better than you. And if they are, great, good for them. Kudos. But that's what this community has done Rachel and I both agree, like it's you guys, your OGs that are making us successful, vice versa. And there's things that we can bring to the table for you that you probably don't know about either. And I think that that's such a huge part of why this community is so successful
Yeah,
because
the
we're constantly building each other up.
the so I before Owners Club, I was able to go to the last mastermind, the last SubTo mastermind. And I was very fortunate while there. I got to spend a ton of time with Pace, and just I got to like 30 minutes. I just got to hit him with every question I could think of under the sun. And the reason I mention that though is I found with Pace, like I've got to know him pretty well. I could talk to him regularly. I found that if you actually do the thing Like if you talk with him, Pace, what do I do? I got this going on. If you actually do it and he knows you're gonna do it, but then on top of it, anything that he pours into you, if he knows secondly that you're gonna turn around and pass it to, 10, 20, 30 more people, he'll continue to just building that
Yep.
relationship with you,
Yeah.
pouring into you, because he knows it's an efficient way for him to build up the community is by pouring into people that perform but also share.
I love that.
Like
Which
through
actually,
through the I got to know him, I get to
That
know him
is
pretty
so
well.
cool. Thank you so much. Which actually brings us to the end. I think we did this solid.
ask the last question, Kate. I know
Oh, I
you
don't
want
want
to.
to. Well, I mean, I guess we talked about that. I said, all right, I'm going to ask you a question, Dustin.
Okay.
What does it mean to you to be an REI baddie? And I feel like
I
this
don't know.
isn't an REI baddie is a real estate investor badass in
Yeah.
a nutshell, if that makes you feel more masculine.
I'd say someone that just actually does things. There's a lot of people that get stuck and they want it to be perfect, but the reality is y- depending who you've heard say this something similar, but some people say if you know 80% of what you need to know, just go for it. I've heard some multimillionaires say like 50%. If they know like 50%, just
Just
go.
go,
Because
try.
I think that's the big thing is like you, it's not possible to know everything before you get into it because the world's always changing and evolving anyway.
Love it.
Well, and I also think that JVing, going back to that and how we JV is probably the answer to most people's,
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I've only done one deal on my own, and then all my wholesale
Yeah.
deals, um, the other than this house, this is my homestead, is SubTo deal, a VA loan, Rachel. Um, all the other deals, yeah, I bought with partners.
Yeah. So there you go.
But Dustin, thank you so much for just being here today, sharing your story. I mean, I know for me personally, it's just really inspiring to see how you've been able to blend business smarts with, impact investing and just having a heart for impact.
Yeah, thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
I love it. Thank you all for listening. And don't forget to subscribe. And we are on all social media platforms at REI Baddies. So you can just put REI Baddies in any kind of social. We're on all platforms. Woo!
And next week, we will bring in Trevor Hicks and Robert Sidsgetty. They're teaming up. They are the quintessential example of how those on the top collaborate and how those on the bottom compete. So trust us, you are not going to want to miss seeing those two. Until then, keep taking action and stay bad.
Stay batty.